welcome back to our show, 184 Days Teaching Truths. I'm Carrie.
I'm Christy, and we have a special guest today. Her name is Mimi. She is a high school health teacher, and we'd like to welcome you to the show.
Thank you.
Yay!
All right.
We have somebody from secondary. Okay, so I don't know about any other teachers out there, but our district just experienced the joy that is spring break.
Yes.
I feel like I still have the spring break glow. But I do also find that spring break is the hardest to come back from.
Isn't that the truth? Because you're going, no, how was it only a week? I need more.
I know. You get spoiled that 2 weeks of winter break, right? I was like, oh, wait, I just was getting in the groove and I was starting to get productive. I did the whole rest, have a good time thing first. Then I looked around my house and I was like, oh my gosh, pigs live here. We need to get this organized. And then it was already time to go back to school.
Right? You just cleaned up after the pigs and then you went back.
Yeah. So,
yeah, that was tough.
Mimi, how was your spring break?
I was taking praxis exams all spring break.
Oh,
So there was no spring break for
There
you?
was no spring break.
Yeah. We'll
that's
dig
called
into
Debbie
that.
Downer right there, because that's no good at all.
No, that's not a fun way to spend your spring break. I did see other teachers online though, like they would post pictures of travel and like being with their families. Some people went to the beach.
Yeah.
We're not going to talk about those people in a nice way anymore because we did not get to go to the beach.
No, I didn't go to the beach, but I'm gonna show you this and you can guess where I went.
That would be where my son was too.
My favorite place.
Yeah, that's a nice cup too. Did you get it there as your
Yeah.
souvenir?
I did. I sat on it for 2 whole days before I decided that it was okay. I could get that.
Well, look at you. You thought about it before you made a purchase. I'm proud of you.
I know. I'm learning to not be so impulsive. Yeah.
It's a lesson we learn later in life, I guess.
Yeah.
This boy takes a while.
I feel like she's called me old. Like that was like low key calling me old. Is that what the kids say? Low key?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
We all are a little bit, you know. We're not 25 anymore, sweetie. That's kind of just the reality.
Yeah, it's not old, it's vintage.
Thank you. I consider myself classic.
Yeah. And I'm just very wise, so I feel
there
like
you go,
people
wise
should
old owl.
Listen to me. That's why we're doing this show, because we're like owls, like sitting here, so wise. People need to come to us, and we will help them.
Well, because you've got 19 years in, I've got 27 years in, and our friend here split her time. So how many years do you have in, like before and after?
Total?
Yeah.
I am in 7 years total, but would have been in, 30 had I stayed in teaching.
There you go.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Took a whole nother route and then came back.
So there you go.
That tops us both.
Are you guys
It
hoping
does.
for parole soon?
All right.
Sometimes teachers do talk about their time left as like a parolee thing. I know. So I was at a one of those soup and salad places. Well, I won't give them any free advertising, but I was standing in line and I was with another friend and I'm like, so like, how many years left you got? And she goes, well, I got 3. And I said, well, I don't know, probably between 3 to 5 for me. And the people behind us had this look on their face. It was so funny. And we had to clarify, we're teachers. Like, we're not criminals. We're not like on parole.
But it is its own kind of prison.
In some ways, they didn't really know how to respond after we said we're teachers.
I may have a countdown chain. I'm just saying.
Oh,
yeah. I'm
like
not quite
each
sure
loop
yet.
represents a year.
Yeah. I'm not quite sure.
43 more school days, by the way.
Oh, thank you.
Oh my gosh.
That's
Well,
not enough.
Out of that 184, sounds like there might be, we're on the downhill slope of that, number. So
I never know that one though. How many days? Like kids will ask me, I'm like, I don't know. I have too much to do to worry about
we're in
that.
the 4th quarter. That's all I know until
Yes.
right now.
I'm
We
proud
have
that
40.
you know that though, being elementary, because in our district,
Well,
elementary doesn't do
it
quarter
shows up
grades.
on the calendar.
oh,
So
Yeah.
that's how it goes.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, look, it's 4th quarter. I don't grade that way, but yeah, for sure. You guys do. We don't.
yeah, I feel
All
like that's. I feel like every 3 weeks I'm like scrambling to enter progress
Grades,
grade and then
yes.
quarter grades, and then I get spammed with email and. Wow, I'm sorry that this is a news flash. right before grades are due what was going on. But yeah, that's how it is, guys. Yeah, it happens every few weeks.
For sure. All right, what you got for us for a funny today, Carrie?
Okay, so I have a riddle. John, would you please put up slide number 1? Okay, so what is louder? The noise your students make just on their own, just talking and, being students, or the noise the rest of the class makes trying to quiet the kids who are making the noise in the first place?
Sounds like a flat tire.
Uh-huh.
Shh.
Oh my gosh. And the spit goes flying, right?
And we can't
Seriously.
figure out how communicable diseases travel.
Well, I can tell
Maybe
you
from shh.
that doesn't help. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I got sick a few weeks ago and I actually think it was from that. I think it was from a shush. Somebody shushed somebody and it got me right in the eye, and that was the end of me for 2 weeks.
At least your kids are still shushing. Mine just tell each
True.
other to shut up.
Oh yes.
Yeah. Just shut up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Well,
do
you're
say,
secondary, so
Yes.
In 6th grade, I will have to say there's no shut upping in here.
Yeah.
Like, let's
That-
find another way.
yes.
Well,
My
we,
kids,
we
if you
say
hear
that,
that.
but
Oh yeah.
If they hear that in 1st grade, they go, oh, Miss Grangie, they said something really bad. Really bad. And I'm like, I know. I'll take care of it in a minute. And a minute goes by, I may or may not have taken care of it.
Yeah. I know. There's many. things
Sometimes
to
we just
do.
gotta move along, people.
Okay, I have a question for secondary. This is my first year of middle school, and I found that a common phrase when a student is caught, doing something they shouldn't do is, "I'm sorry." Do your students apologize all of the time for doing those things?
no.
They
No.
shouldn't have been doing those things in the first place. And if you were sorry, you probably wouldn't have done it in the first place.
Right.
Is that a middle school brain thing?
That's middle school.
Okay.
Yeah. When I was in middle school, they did the same thing. And now it's just like, I wasn't doing anything.
Yeah.
They just lie.
Yeah, they just lie.
Oh,
Out
straight
and out
up.
flat. Or they start arguing with you.
okay.
Yes.
So it's best not to say anything. Just carry on.
Yeah.
Carry on.
Yeah. Just keep
Yeah.
going.
Okay.
I mean, occasionally you have to stop them and, and correct their behavior, but
Right.
especially when it's really bad. But
right.
most of the time you just take a mental note and send them a note later.
Right.
There
And
you go.
move it along. Yeah, I have some mental notes about people sneaking eating food in my class that we're going to have to chat about because I have to be really strict about that. Food allergies. Plus, it's an intro to engineering class. There's a lot of hands-on stuff. So nobody wants your hot fry fingers on their stuff that they're going to touch in 2 hours.
Right.
So yeah, I may have taken photos as evidence, and we're going to have a little chat
There you
about
go.
it.
I had
Yeah.
to chat about chocolate milk today. I'm like, yeah, we only drink water in here because the ants come from to your chocolate milk spill. So
Mhm.
we're not doing that. Let your mom know. No yoo-hoo coming in my room.
I don't actually think that's chocolate milk.
I don't know. It looked like chocolate beverage.
It's a chocolate beverage drink. Yes.
Yeah.
It is yummy
Yeah.
though.
It's a sugar-loaded fest.
Yeah.
Right.
And once the ants come, they don't leave.
No.
They're like
No.
squatters. For sure. It is a big problem. I've
They're
experienced
like,
that
look,
before.
this is a mansion.
Yeah.
And it's filled with food.
Yay! Okay, so I don't know about anybody out there, but is this conversation making you want to be a teacher? Is anybody like,
Say
please
yes.
sign me up? This sounds delightful.
Yes.
This is what I've dreamed of doing.
Well, and the funny thing is, Carrie, is that out there, you'd be shocked to hear that there's an actual teacher shortage.
What?
I know. Like with all of the fun that we share every time, people don't want to do what we do. Now, before we go any further with this idea of a teacher shortage, let me define teacher shortage. I read an article from Elevate K-12, and this is how they define teacher shortage. It's an educational job vacancy that cannot be properly or adequately filled. So let's unpack that one. Let's unwrap that standard.
I heard 2 key words in there. Properly and adequately.
Very good. Properly and adequately. So properly means,
Somebody that looks like me.
well, okay. So let's
Okay.
let's rephrase that one, Carrie.
Mhm.
Maybe someone with your qualifications, like you have a teaching license,
Oh.
right? Yeah, might have a teaching license.
Mhm.
Properly and adequately. So teacher license or people who are qualified to become teachers in your state, right? So that's that's the teacher shortage part, is that they have people who will come into your classrooms and be in there. Are they qualified to do the job adequately and properly, right? Do they have enough training and expertise, and are they licensed in your state to be able to do that? So let's start there with teacher shortage, because 'tis the season. It's spring and this is teacher shopping season. So if teachers are moving, they typically move, like they'll set up their next job for next year. Because remember, we're contract workers, right? So at the end of the 184 days, we can either say yes or no to the next contract. And there are people who are moving like over the summer, and they're like, look, I'm going to have to look for another job in another place. And so right now the teacher shopping season is open. And so the problem that we have is that there are more jobs than there are teachers to fill them, right? And that's where that shortage comes in. So another interesting statistic from 2022, data from the National Center for Educational Statistics, is 18% of public schools in the United States have at least one or more vacant teaching positions, while 26% reported having multiple vacancies, right? So many more than one or two. 44 of public schools are understaffed, and high poverty schools, so those Title I schools, are hit harder at 55%, reporting shortages compared to 40% in low poverty. So the difference is stark depending also on where in the world you work in your town, right? So if you're at a high poverty Title I school, your vacancies are going to be far greater than if you're working at a school that does not have impoverished students.
But what about if there's a sub in there? Does that count as properly and adequately?
So I think properly and adequately it defines it as like a licensed educator. And a substitute teacher isn't necessarily a licensed educator. They're a person who is, there to cover when a classroom teacher is out, but they aren't necessarily qualified to be a teacher year round, right? So they're the stopgap measure until the qualified licensed teacher comes back. However, was never to be designed that substitute teachers would take the place of a licensed teacher for an entire year.
John, did you want to say something?
Yeah, is there a certain amount of required masochism to become a teacher?
So I'm so glad you asked, John, because our friend here, she's going through that. And so she's going to speak a little to this idea that, there's more than one hoop to jump through by wanting to become a teacher. So, Mimi, what is it that you had to do when you came back? You were a licensed teacher. You qualified under that proper and adequate, and then you left teaching for a good chunk of time. And then you decided to come back. And what did they tell you when you wanted to come back? Just thanks for coming back. Yeah, we're so glad you're here.
So I was talked into coming back by one of the principals of my son's school. And when I thought about subbing, and then I looked into what it takes to become a sub and what it costs to get your sub license compared to what it would cost for me to renew my teaching license or reinstate my teaching license because I had let it expire. So to do that, not only do you have to pay a large sum to the Department of Education, it would be in any state that you're in, to get new provisions put on your license. And then you're told that you have X amount of time to take X amount of praxis exams to get your new teaching license.
But didn't you already take them the first time?
Absolutely.
You got your
Yep.
teaching license.
Yep.
So you
Okay.
already did the tests,
Yes.
and now you got to do them again.
Yes.
I'm sure
And
they're free though, right?
No, they are not free.
What do you mean they're not free?
Not the second time. You get free, like a buy one get one free. The second
Right.
time.
Yeah, no. When you have to take all of them, and you pay for all of them out of pocket.
Well, if that doesn't make you want to be a teacher, nothing will.
Yes.
Absolutely. Why wouldn't you want to go take 5 exams and pay for those exams? Oh, and do you have to like test prep for those too? Do you have to
Yes.
like buy a study guide or, buy like a video series to learn how to, pass these assessments?
For some of them, there's stuff that you can, I mean, obviously, since I've been teaching and have some of that background, I didn't pay for, I did do the study.com. Sorry to throw their name out there, but
Free advertising.
free advertising, sorry. But it wasn't enough to get me to where I was comfortable feeling like, and I probably could have paid, and the study guides are not cheap. There's all sorts of companies that will sell you study guides for every praxis exam that is out there. I mean, and praxis is different by state, what type of test that they have you take, but they're basically all the same test. But yeah, they're, I know people who have a current teaching license in the state they're in, and they're moving, and the state requires them to take the exams again when they come to a new state.
I think
So-
we're in the wrong industry. Like,
Yeah.
I think we need to start up
Where
a
was our
business
money?
of selling praxis study guides and
Well,
whatnot.
why don't we just tutor the teachers?
Ooh.
That
You know
are the
what?
people who want to be teachers. Wait a second. There's a shortage. Maybe there aren't that many.
But
out
maybe
there.
we could recruit some more. Yeah,
Yeah.
maybe.
Maybe we can make it fun.
Hey, John, can we look at slide 2? Because I feel like this is kind of what we're talking about here. Did you know that there is an actual obstacle course to become a teacher? Yes. We want to hire quickly because we have a shortage. Okay. So here's what you need to do. Okay. First of all, go to 4 years of college, and we're not knocking that. Education is important. Hello.
Absolutely. If
It's
you're
our
going to be an
life.
educator, you might need to
Okay.
be educated.
We're fine with that. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, unpaid student teaching.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. When I went to school, it was a whole semester. So we're talking 4 months that I am working over 40 hours, 54, I believe it is, average teacher, right? For free. And also,
Paying
you
your
were strongly discouraged from getting any kind of job, and your college could not find out that you kept your job at whatever retail store you may have worked at. Wasn't me, it was other people. I heard about it. Otherwise, you could get kicked out of the program. Now, that was back in the day.
And you're paying your tuition for the semester.
Oh, yeah, you pay for that.
Yeah.
You have to pay for that. It's not free. Yeah. You got to pay to
Yes.
work for free.
Yes.
Okay. So there's
Wait a
that.
second. Now we're selling this, Carrie, because we need.
Oh,
more
sorry.
teachers.
Hold up. I'm supposed to be positive. Sorry. Okay. Now, and then there's praxis. So at the end of that, you take your test. That
Hold
you
on a
take
second.
for-
Add 2 more to that.
Oh.
That's 5.
Oh, my text box wasn't big enough.
Okay.
Okay. You get what I'm saying? Okay.
Practice.
Now, and we're not saying that's bad. Like we have to make sure we have knowledgeable people, right? That know what they're doing. Okay. We're not knocking it, but maybe you could pay us and you could pay for our test. Just saying. Okay. And then
You want
fingerprint-
more?
Yeah, fingerprints and background check. Now, we need to have people around kids who are safe, right? We do not want
Absolutely.
trouble. But maybe somebody could pay that for us because we just went 4 months not getting paid. And that stuff's expensive. Okay. Okay. And then you go through the whole process of interviewing, and it's an online application, then an in-person here and an in-person here. And then I don't know about any other district, but when I was hired the first time, because I did stay home for a bit of time, you had to take the first job for the first principal that called you, whether it was close to your house or not, whether it worked for you or not. And if not, you would get basically like marked off the list and they would not hire you.
That's the threat.
Okay. I don't know if that was true, urban legend. I'm not sure, but
Sure.
it scared me to death. So I
Right.
didn't answer my phone.
I
Until
didn't either.
somebody left a voicemail.
Yeah.
Because, you know,
I did the same thing.
it was kind
Yeah.
of scary. So you've now completed level 1 of, I don't know how many levels if you get through this. So yeah.
That's just the easy part.
Yeah. So people, come on down. We need you.
Right.
Yeah. Okay.
Evidently, there's not enough of us.
Yeah.
So if that didn't scare you away from teaching, oh yes, John.
So I'm assuming that what you just went through, what you just talked about, is for the public school system.
Yes.
Yes, that's all our bar, like that's the experience that we have. So we can't speak on behalf of the
Well,
other
yeah,
systems.
that's what I was going to ask.
Future show.
Is the experience or the requirements the same for a private school?
No.
So we can talk a little bit about that, but I mean, none of us have been private school or charter school teachers.
Employee.
So Mimi can talk about like she worked for a charter, but she was an employee, not necessarily a licensed teacher there. So we know that at private schools, there are varying requirements depending on the private school and what they're looking for. So you may or may not have a teaching license within the state that you're working in, and they may be okay with that. So let's say you move from California to New York and you're at a private school there. They're like, look, your California license is good here, because at a private school that they don't necessarily require that. They're not under the same confines that a public school system is, right? There's the bureaucracy there is of their own. In the charter system, it's a little bit different. They can have a certain percentage. You want to talk to that, Mimi?
So, and it's for private too. They can have a certain percentage of teachers that have education in that subject. They don't have to have a teaching license. They can just have the education in that subject, and they can have a certain percentage of those people teaching that don't have a license. And once they meet that percentage, then they have to have the rest of them be licensed teachers.
Okay.
All right.
So that's really important for us to know, because like when we're talking about like all of these different hoops that we're jumping through, we're really talking about public system, right?
Mhm.
We're talking about the public school system that's run by your state.
Mhm.
So,
And we know some of these things are in place to make sure that we have qualified people that don't have sketchy backgrounds. And we're definitely not knocking any of that. But it would be nice if the system provided more support financially for us and was able to maybe have the process move along a little bit more quickly, because we tend to hit a lot of roadblocks.
Yes.
And it can take quite a bit of time.
for
Right.
sure.
So I know people even trying to get qualified to sub in the district that we teach in. It can take weeks and weeks and weeks. And we're talking about former teachers who actually decided to stay home with kids or whatever and are trying to come back in. And it's extremely frustrating for them because they want to be in the classroom and support. Frustrating for teachers because we need people, right? So we can be out and not dump on our colleagues,
For sure.
having them sub on their preps or whatever. So if you've had any of these experiences and you would like to call in, give us a call at 702-992-3207. If you have any questions, comments, we would love to hear it, because this is just our experience right now, but we do know this is very similar across the country, the challenges that people are facing.
Sure.
And then subbing, I do want to talk about subbing. So
let's do that after our break. 184 days teaching truths. We'll see you on the other side.
Hey everybody, I am Aaron Phillips. You are?
I'm Governor Val Brown Klingelhofer.
And we host what kind of show?
We host the most fabulous show on this network you've ever seen. It's all about Kiwanis and what's going on in our different cities.
And Kiwanis Connects is the title, and you can watch us every Friday morning, 9 to 10 a.m. Pacific time, right on Facebook or WWDBTV. Say goodbye.
Bye, everybody. Aloha.
Are you looking for someone to provide training to your staff? Do you need a motivational speaker about how to handle change? Do you have an upcoming event that needs an MC to handle those responsibilities? Well, look no further than longtime Las Vegas radio personality Aaron Phillips. I am local to Las Vegas, and I can blend my talents with any audience. For more information, please visit www.aaronphillipsvoice.com and book me for your next event or training needs.
Ding, ding, ding.
Welcome back to 184 Days Teaching Truths. I'm Christy,
I'm Carrie.
and this is our guest, Mimi. And today we're talking about teacher shortage. And it's, like we said, it's teacher hiring season. And so what are some of these concerns that people who want to come into the profession have? And what are some of the barriers that these teachers face when coming into the profession and trying to get a teaching position, right? So before we left for the break, we were talking about, there are definitely some barriers that we have in hiring teachers. And I want to add another statistic here. So over the last 2 years, teacher vacancies have increased substantially nationwide, from 36,000 teaching positions open 2 years ago to 55,000 teaching positions open last year. So you can see, like, over time, we're just exponentially increasing the amount of people we need to have to come into the profession. And what they're finding is the new teacher programs completion numbers are flat. We're not increasing while the need is greater. The number of teachers coming out of teacher prep programs remains steady. So it's not that that's dropping, it's just not following the increase of need, right? So what do we do? What do we do when we have all these empty classrooms? Well, they're not empty of kids. They're just waiting for a teacher, right? And so what do? How do you fill the gap?
Well, you try to get subs, right? But the issue that many districts are finding is that substitutes love the flexibility of their job, right? They don't necessarily always want to be locked into what's called a long-term position where they take on the role, responsibilities, mental and emotional strain of being the classroom teacher because they don't get paid as a classroom teacher. And we've talked about that before, that our pay isn't that great. And substitutes, long-term subs get even less than teachers. They get more than a regular day-to-day sub, but they have a lot of responsibility and a lot of them just don't want that.
Well, and who's coming to support them if they've never been a classroom teacher to know how to do lesson planning, how to do long range planning so you plan out so you don't miss stuff throughout the year? Who's going to help you do your grade book? Who's going to teach you all of the things that come into being a full-time year-long teacher, right? And a lot of times, right. Yeah, that would be you.
Yeah.
You and me, right? But again, that just adds to the plate of the licensed teachers in the building to say, hey, you need to step up yet again. Don't forget to help out your colleague. And it's not that we don't want to do that, but it's just how many more things can you add on to what we're already doing before we ourselves become ineffective, right?
Right.
So that is definitely a challenge.
Right. So it's definitely always a balancing act. And I know I've mentioned before, one reason why I left the just the regular elementary school classroom was that I felt like the juggling act was too much and that I was always dropping a ball, right? And the key was to not drop the same ball too many days in a row. And I just got sick of doing that and always feeling a small amount, feeling like a failure. There's always something that I did not do every single day. I did not accomplish. There was a student or a group of students or some part of my job that I severely let down. And I'm like, I can't keep doing this every single day, every week after week, looking in the mirror like, oh, what are you going to mess up on today, right?
Well, and for Mimi, like when you came back into teaching after all that time had lapsed, right? You had done other jobs, you had worked in schools, but not necessarily as the classroom teacher. When you came back in after having that time that had elapsed, who helped you out when you came back the first year or so? Did you have any help?
You,
Okay. Yes, I did.
who wasn't even at my school or even at the grade level in which I was teaching. I had other people at the school, not necessarily in my department, that I could go to when I was struggling, and they helped me out. It's not their job, but it's your other teachers who are supporting you and helping you figure out what all you need to do. And, I started out at middle school and then I moved up to high school, and things are different. What you have to do in your grade book is not the same, and trying to figure that out. Who do you go to? You go to a mentor or other teachers, and you're like, help.
Right. And those other teachers, they want to help you and they're willing to help you, but, they don't get extra pay for spending, hours and hours after their contract time to support the other teachers that are coming in the building. They do it because they want to help you.
A half a CU.
Right. There's very little like compensation, if any, for those teachers. And yet the substitute teachers and the teachers who are returning or new teachers need that help so badly. And yet many school districts don't pay like mentorship programs. They don't pay teachers who are in the building already. That's just one of those unwritten rules that you have to do that. And so again, like we're not complaining, like we're happy that teachers are coming into the profession and we want to help. But at some point, like Carrie was saying, which ball do you drop today because you're needing to do more for someone else, right? But what happens when you don't get support? What happens when you go into teaching with the greatest, I want to teach intention because I want to teach because I think that that's something I'd be really good at. And I just have this passion to learn how to be a good teacher and teach other kids.
You spend hours upon hours after your time working to get all the
Right.
stuff done you need to get done and learn what you need to do.
For sure. And, there are people who like are in the military and they look at teaching and they go, you know what, that would be a great way to segue out of the military and into some civilian life. And they have experiences and they have some qualifications and they're willing to jump through those, that obstacle course because they like those.
Yeah.
And so,
I have an article about that.
oh,
Wow.
okay.
Funny you should bring that up. Okay.
all
So
right.
this was, oh, John,
Three.
sorry.
Slide
so-
3.
Oh, no, not slide 3. We're okay. Thank you.
All right.
Yes.
Never
Okay.
mind.
No. Okay. We're good. So, so this article was published in the Las Vegas Review Journal. I can say that, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. It's called "Pay Teachers Whatever It Takes." So,
like this guy already.
yeah, he's already my favorite. So
The title alone.
this article was published a few months ago. I believe it was in the fall.
Okay.
There may have been some things going on in our district with teachers and their pay. We will not speak of that, but we're going to talk about some of his insights. I have 2 slides worth of insights. I will not read them all to you word for word, but it was very eye-opening. I'm going to give you what I think was the boldest statement here. He said, quote, "It was hands down the worst experience of my life." Okay, now keep in mind, this is a retired Air Force senior master sergeant who did a tour in Afghanistan. Okay.
That's how can that be? Like going to war is a really challenging experience. And many people come back scarred for the rest of their life from doing that. How can it be that going into a classroom was worse than that?
Well, he said he felt overwhelmed and unsupported. And this was high school, and it sounds like it was a very challenging high school. So I'm not trying to justify how he felt or what happened or in any way say that it was okay or make excuses. I'm just giving you the information, okay? So he lasted 3 months, and he felt abandoned, demoralized, and humiliated. And I've never heard anybody use the word humiliated before. I've heard the other words, right?
Yes.
Okay. And that spoke to me because I have shared, I felt like a failure every single day as an elementary school teacher on some level, depending on what it was. So there's something very humiliating about not being able to complete all of the tasks in front of you. And
Yes.
you like internalize that, right? And somehow it hurts like your own self-worth, right? He's like, "I'm done. I quit teaching after 3 months." And he went into it with the purest of intentions, wanted to have an influence on the next generation, wanted to be a teacher, felt like he had a lot of life experience to offer. Okay. And he left after 3 months.
Well, and I noticed you said like here, it says each day that I decided, I had to decide. So again, it's that ball, right? It's those never ending
This or
balls,
this.
right? So decide between helping a student needing individual instruction and the 45 other students who seem to erupt into chaos every time I turn my back on them for only a moment. So, and I don't think we're saying anything, Mimi, that you don't understand. Do you have anything to add to that?
No, I don't.
Is this a true or false statement?
I think it depends on, and like you said, he felt unsupported. So I think that can depend on one, where you are, what support your administration gives you.
Sure.
And I have felt that way in my job, not at the school I am currently at, because I feel very supported and I know they have my back. I know that if I press the button on my badge, that they are there within 20 seconds.
Yeah.
And they are there to
There's
help
something
me.
very reassuring about that, right? Makes
It's
you feel
extremely
supported.
reassuring. And anytime, and I've had issues that have come up at this school that I've been extremely supported in. And they have said, you know what, we're going to take it from here. Whereas at my other school, I did not feel as supported, and it was all on me to take care of any of those behavior issues. And So it depends on where you are and the support that you have.
John, what did you want to add?
Did she just say you wear a badge that has a button on it that's a panic button?
Yep.
Yeah, we
You're
all,
a teacher and you have a badge with a panic button.
yes.
That's
We
bull.
so this some school districts implemented some additional security measures after the Uvalde incident, and so they decided to give us, there are these little, they look like credit cards, and there's a button on it, and if you push it so many times it calls your administration, and if you continually push it until you know it basically shuts everything down in the school, like the whole school locks down, so that people are aware that there's a great danger
That's
around.
insane.
So it's in lieu of having any other sort of self defense.
Yeah, an incident
right.
where
So or bringing your dog to work. Yeah.
Your Chihuahua.
Hey, she could handle it.
Yeah,
That's my girl.
I know.
nobody else
Yeah.
could handle it.
No,
I've met
no.
her.
I know she could.
Took
handle
her
it.
a full 10 minutes just to calm down. Yeah, I was
Might have
afraid for
some-
my life.
She might want to take out your ankles while you're standing still.
I know.
For sure.
So no, I do think in all fairness, depends where you are. Depends also on how much experience you have, right? I know newer teachers don't have as many tools in their toolbox oftentimes. So that might be where, some of the chaos came from or whatever.
For sure.
But it doesn't change the fact that the system was set up so that he just didn't get enough support. And we're not saying it's his admin's fault or other teachers' fault. It's a system that we all are working in,
For sure.
trying to make it work.
And it probably doesn't happen just here where we all live. Like, out in the greater United States, gosh, how many teachers have had experiences where they're basically, it's a sink or swim method, right? We wish you the best of luck. We know you weren't a teacher by trade. We didn't give you adequate student teaching experience. We don't give you a mentor that helps you. We just dump you in a classroom and we help you pray. And that works for you, right? And if you don't make it, we're real sorry. But that happens a lot to teachers, especially ones who, like in our previous show, we had some teachers that went through the alternative route to licensure programs, and they didn't have a lot of student teaching experience. And so they have minimal experience to be able to draw on when they have difficult situations, right? So just so you know, like, this is what the little card looks like a credit card. There's a button on the back. And if you
Right.
won't do anything because there's not a school nearby. That's a good thing, right? But if you push
There's
this,
one right next door.
Yeah.
that won't work because it's not.
I think it's charter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it might be closed down. So
You have to push
if
it
you
harder
push
than that.
this button here multiple times, that will alert your administration. And if you are in a real crisis and you need to shut down the whole school because you're seeing something that is of danger to everyone, you can push it.
And so
So many
are
times.
these, in other words, when you push that button, does it identify you and your classroom and where
It
you
does.
are?
It like gives like a GPS location.
Holy shit.
Yep,
Mhm.
exactly where you are. So
Yeah.
you
One of
could,
those
yeah.
are registered per person.
Yeah.
Right.
Mhm.
And it knows which card is yours. So it's not like, we all have the same looking card, but this card is registered to you. Like for your administration, they know which card it is. So it will show up as your name and your location. So they know where they're going and who they're going to.
Right. This is my card. There are
Yes.
many like it.
Yes.
Yes,
They
yes.
all look
But
the
this
same,
one
but
is
you wouldn't
mine,
know,
yeah.
you wouldn't know any other way. Like that's you, other than the fact that
That
it's
was a little
registered.
speech that we were given when we were given our weapons.
There you go.
This is my weapon. There are many like it, but this one is mine.
That's right. Well, this is the teacher weapon right here.
Right.
It's a credit card.
This is what we have.
Yeah,
I know
that's
we're
what we got.
laughing, but that's one of the saddest things that I've heard in a long time.
Well, and it's
It is, but it does help in you feeling safer at school. And it's not just from the students. We're talking about people coming onto campus that
Mhm,
shouldn't be on
mhm.
campus. So as a teacher, this is something I feel has been a support to us, and just having it and knowing how quickly, 'cause mine was accidentally pushed, just saying that, like there's one that you push it so many times and they come to see what you need. And they, it could be a student is sick or ill in your class or whatever. But they were there within 20 seconds.
Yeah.
I mean, and it was not just one admin. I had 4 admin and they were
Right.
like sprinting to my class because I work in the North 40.
I shouldn't laugh, but
But it's a nice support.
yes. Did anybody ever accidentally? So our district also has the one on the phone. So
Yes. That's
I may be a little bit of a clean freak,
Mhm.
and I'm always cleaning the phone and other things that people may touch. And more than one time, I have accidentally pushed that.
Oh.
And they're like, please stop pushing it because it is so loud in the office. It makes everybody in there jump like 10 feet. And I feel really bad because I hear nothing. I'm a complete
Right.
oblivion over here, just cleaning my room, getting rid of all the disgusting germs, whatever. And then usually they'll
Sometimes
just
cleaning
call.
hurts others.
Right,
Carrie.
right. They're like, are you okay down there? Do you need us to come down? I'm like, what are you talking about? They're like, you did the alert on the phone again. Oh, no. I'm completely fine. It's
you-
clean now though.
You've heard the story of the boy who cried wolf,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
You better be careful with that.
I know. I'm familiar.
There
Yeah.
it is.
I do try to, like, after the third time, I did try to be much more careful. So
Well, I'm glad to hear that
'Cause it's
because
not cool.
cleaning can be dangerous
yes.
in
yes.
Carrie's room for sure. No
Okay.
doubt. Okay.
So can we please pull up John slide 6? So if we treated lawyers like we treat teachers, oh, your client bit you? Sounds like you need to work on building up your relationship.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Have
That's
we
an adult
experienced
issue.
that at all? Where, well, that child is misbehaving for you because you didn't do the things that you were supposed to do.
What?
What? Okay.
Wait, but if we treated lawyers like we treat teachers, right?
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, we can't give you a
Paralegal.
thank you, this year. Yes, we know your workload is impossible, but have you tried remembering your why?
Oh,
Like why you're teaching? See, because when things get really tough, we just want you to remember you chose this profession. You knew what you signed up for.
Oh, I feel a future topic coming on because that whole remember your why and you knew what you signed up for. I have many comments that I would like to make about that. And here's the thing.
Oh, wait a second. Is it opinionated or is it informed?
Okay, true. So I'm gonna
Let's
hold
be
off.
careful
I'm gonna
there,
hold
sister.
off before I'm gonna get my facts straight before
That's
I say
right.
anything. But I will say, okay, I get what you're saying with I remember your why. I show up every day because I remember that, because I do love this job.
Right.
And this is part of the reason why we're doing the show, because we have to get out there the things that are wrong so we can try to fix it and make it better. okay?
Absolutely.
This
Absolutely.
is what, the oldest profession or something?
Well, there's one older.
One of them. Oh yeah, sorry about that, everybody. Sorry.
keep this
Awkward
clean.
moment.
Family show,
sorry.
family
I'm
show.
I'm just an innocent girl.
That's
Just, okay.
Yeah, that's all right.
Okay, so this is one of the oldest professions,
For sure.
and we
It's
really
the
have.
most- It's the most honorable.
Thank you.
We
Well,
have a huge
appreciate it.
impact on society in a positive way. Okay,
Right.
and we
For
want people to keep wanting to do this job.
Right. And so let's dig a little bit deeper. Let's talk about when teachers leave like mid-year, right? When the teacher shortage happens, not during like teacher season, but when you're hiring. But let's say winter break rolls around and all of a sudden we do a
retired.
thing called so it's called dropping keys. That's kind of a teacher slang for I quit mid-year. Right? You get it, because some of them have had those experiences like that master sergeant, and they say, you know what, I can't keep going, and so they bail out at winter break. But one of the things that people don't realize is there isn't somebody waiting in the wings to take that teacher's spot, right?
Oh,
What happens?
And some of them don't quit. They'd use the rest of their leave time. So they're just gone until all their time off is used up. And they can't hire someone in that position until they're
Right.
done.
So I think you just pick the most responsible student in the class and they're in charge.
Right?
Well, that's what they used to do in the olden days. One room schoolhouse, like when the teacher had to go to the bathroom.
Oh.
Remember, we talked about that too.
Oh,
And
that's
but they
illegal.
because they didn't have
Oh.
they didn't have like a prep.
Mhm.
So they just would put the most responsible student in charge while they went to go use the outhouse.
Oh, okay.
Okay, we can't do that anymore.
Can you just prop the door open and like another teacher like pokes their head in and be like, "You guys good in here? Anything for me?"
Yeah, I'm thinking that's not going to go so
Oh,
well.
Okay.
I don't know. It's just me, but I'm just saying.
So what do we do if a teacher leaves mid-year and there's
Right.
no teacher to replace them and there's no long-term sub?
So what happens? I know what happens in elementary school. Like right now, I have more students in my classroom because we have a teacher who's out on maternity leave. Now she didn't quit, but she's been gone. She'll have been gone in total 12 weeks. So I have more students in my room until she returns. But what happens, like at the high school level, when a teacher, as we like to say, drops keys mid-year, and it just adds to the teacher shortage? What happens then?
So you might get the same thing that you get at elementary school where students are moved into other classes and your class numbers expand to where you have more students than you have desks for.
You need the stretchy pants.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of times those teachers who haven't already sold all their preps so that they could have more classes are now selling preps to cover, which means when you sell your prep, you don't have that time to get your stuff done, get prepared, do your grades. It's all done outside.
They do pay you for that.
They do.
Yes. But the reality is that the existing teachers are now taking on more of the workload every day.
Correct. And they also aren't teaching the subject that those students would have normally been getting in high school. So what are those kids? What is the quality of education those students are getting that had that teacher that left?
For sure. John.
And you just said exactly what my question was going to be, is everything that you guys have talked about in almost every single show that you've done here, the students lose.
Yes.
It's true.
In everything that has been going on, it's the students who lose out.
Big
It is.
time.
And you're depriving them of a decent education.
For sure.
And what the hell kind of people are we going to be turning out into society that don't have any coping skills
Right.
or anyway, never mind.
And we go back to what Carrie said earlier about that. Like teachers are they are the nails and the glue of society, right? They keep things together in our society. And when we don't have enough of them, or we don't have the qualified teachers that we need in classrooms, then what happens to the education of the children, right? And then that's our future right there. And we have to make really good decisions for our kids, right? Because having someone fill the gap until we can find someone else who may or may not ever come to cover that class again, that means those kids are getting shorted that education. And after a while, like when that happens over and over and over again to children, like what foundation do we have to build off of then, right? And that's really the challenge. Carrie, do you have something?
Yes, actually, I would like to show slide 3. Please, it's a little long.
But
I feel
Carrie
like
will read it.
the message is really good. So this was posted on Ali Teaching Science. Okay, so this is a teacher somewhere in the nation. Sometimes I think the problem with teachers is that we are too good at our jobs and too resilient. So when we make impossible circumstances in the classroom work, they think that it's acceptable and they say, well, it is what it is because we survived. We really just rose to the occasion and did what we needed to do to survive. But if they could see, and this is like the system, right? The people who are maybe making these decisions for education, but maybe aren't, in the classroom every day seeing what's going on. Anyway, but if only they could see the absolute magic we create when we actually have everything we need to make our classrooms and students thrive. And that right there, that last sentence is exactly why we show up every day. So you want to talk about our why? It is right there.
Yes.
Because there is a magic. It gives me goosebumps when it happens. Like I have it right now thinking about it.
Sure.
This is why we show up every day and we put up with all this other crap and we survive when we have to survive and we thrive when we can thrive.
Right.
And the moments when we thrive are the most incredible moments. And that's what carries you through the survival times to the next thrive and the next thrive and the next thrive.
Right. But the sad part is that we have to have survival times that are longer and more intense these days because we can't find enough teachers to help us out so we can have that really awesome, like, this is why I teach moments, right? And if we don't have enough of those, it's hard to keep going, right? That's what really is the fabric of what makes you want to come back every single day, right? It's those aha moments. It's those, gosh, I can't believe you just got that idea. Now you have this concept moment and they're excited and you're excited for them. And, there's that magic of teaching that's going on in the room. But if we're always, under like an amazing amount of stress where we're constantly trying to do 2 and 3 jobs on top of the other 2 and 3 jobs that we already do, that makes it, there's only so long before teachers, experience that expectation fatigue. We don't like that word, burnout.
Right.
So we use expectation fatigue because if you expect us to be able to do that and sustain that, it's not sustainable. And the system is so broken. The current system isn't sustainable either. We need teachers. We need people to come into the profession, and we need them to be able to stay. We know that teachers who are committed to the profession and have the correct or adequate and proper training tend to stay in the profession longer. But people who are thrown in with 10 or 20 days of student teaching, a lot of times their attrition rate is 50%, right? That they don't stay in the profession because they simply don't have the support and they don't have the background and training that keeps them here. And so it's a lot of your teachers who've had the adequate and proper training that are trying to float the boat of so many other people who are trying. They're trying really hard, but they've been given a classroom without the tools. And that in itself is a super challenge. John.
I just wanted to ask Mimi something. So you were a teacher at one point and you left the profession.
Yep.
And then you came back. So I actually have 2 questions.
Okay.
Number 1, why did you come back? And number 2, why do you stay?
That's a really
Those are
good,
juicy.
Those are juicy questions. So, I was still teaching, but not in a school district when I left. I got my master's in nutrition and was teaching nutrition to different people of different ages and levels. I came back to teaching because of the need for teachers. I had a principal that asked me to come back. He's like, you would be fantastic at doing this, because I was working in a classroom just helping teachers at that time.
Do you still talk to him?
Yes, I still talk to him. Why do I stay? I stay because of those moments when we thrive. Those moments when you have either caught a child and helped them out and to progress and learn something. And when they, in my classroom, it's all about the conversations that we have. And when they have those conversations that they're like, you can see them making connections, and it's like, okay, this is why I'm here.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Patrick. We do appreciate that.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And we know that no matter like what you teach, whether it's elementary, middle, or high school, which there's all of that's represented today. Did you notice?
Yay! We should have worn special shirts for the day. Okay, just realized that.
Small, medium, and large.
Yes.
Yeah, right. But all of us, we all bring such unique things to the table, and but the same idea when you see a first grader like get the concept of how to make a 10, and that light bulb and that moment doesn't shift for the teacher, no matter if you're in middle or high school. It's the whole reason why we're all there together, right? And it just depends on who are your people. Like, I know the little people are my people. Like, you're out for a day and they not only want to know why you were gone, but are you okay? And they run to you and they hug you, and it's like a mauling.
I've touched
But
them all.
yes,
Yeah.
right. And but all of them at once, it's a little overwhelming.
Yeah.
That happens, right? So not for you, middle or high school. They don't feel that way about you guys. Sorry.
Well, I would disagree with you there.
Oh, really?
I have students that feel that way, and they tell me each day how much they appreciate when I'm there.
Right.
I have other ones who say, "Oh, darn, we don't have a sub today."
So there's no love lost from
Oh,
those kids.
Those, no, but I
Yes.
mean, I've taught all of them, kindergarten through 12th grade.
Yeah.
So yeah,
The best is when like you get like a little card, like whatever holiday or something,
Mhm.
and they're like, "Hey, I'm so glad you're here," or "I really wasn't into STEM or engineering or whatever, and then we did this experience, and now I really like it." That is huge to me.
Mhm.
Just teaching this class for the first year or whatever, and because I was feeling like, oh, over 200 kids, I'm just not having connections, I'm not making an impact or whatever. And then when I hear that, I'm like, oh wow, that's amazing, right? And that keeps you going.
yes.
Well, and it's those moments where the kids, no matter what their grade, give you their little card, and then whether it's a picture or it's a note or
Mhm.
whatever, and it's just filled with love.
Yeah.
And those are the moments where you're like, okay, so yeah, my paycheck didn't get that much bigger, but boy, my heart swelled, right?
Mhm.
And so,
And we did sign up for that, because when people say, you know what you signed up for? Yeah,
Yeah.
I did sign up for that part.
yes, we did.
I was
Because
very aware of that part, and I'll
when-
take it any day.
when children and parents
Mm-hmm.
express their gratitude for a massive amount of work that you do within a given year, then you feel honored
Yeah.
by them, and that is money in your heart bank,
Mhm.
you know.
Yeah.
So that's
It filled your bucket.
it
Yeah.
filled my bucket.
I'm glad you added the parents in there, because I was going to say the same thing.
Yeah.
I've gotten notes or calls from parents, and just having them say what you're doing has made a difference,
Mhm.
Yeah.
and we appreciate it.
Yeah.
And it
that-
really does
yeah.
a lot for teachers. And just so you know, people out there who are thinking about being teachers, that's the best part. Like, and there's nothing like it. There's no other feeling like what we're talking about. And it's
Mhm.
hard to explain and express in a show, because you just have to be the person who is the one who's helping those kids get to the part where they had that aha moment, and you realize that you did that. You made a difference there for the rest of their life. And
Mhm.
whatever you do changes their life immeasurably forever. I teach kids how to read. If children didn't know how to read, what would their life be like? Right. And so, like, I don't take that lightly. And I don't take that to when kids leave my room, they have to learn how to read. What's going to happen to them if they end up in high school and they're not readers, right? What do we do for them then? Because they've gone all these years without reading. What do we do for kids who they haven't grasped those basic concepts? And no matter if you pick elementary, middle, or high school as a teacher, they need you no matter what. And
Mhm.
so if your heart needs to be filled, not with money,
Yeah.
because we're not offering that,
Yeah.
but with love and
But it's
appreciation
better
from
than it was.
but yes, no doubt, for sure, right? At least for us. No, it's a lot better than it was. But if you're looking for the love, you've got to have that opportunity to
And
be a
also-
teacher.
Okay, so also I would say too, because teachers are very resourceful and we're good at survival, that if there's ever a zombie apocalypse, we
So
will be
true.
good to go.
I'm so glad you
that
brought
could
that
be our
up.
future business. Okay, if there ever is one,
That's our
can
side
teach
gig.
survival skills,
I
how to
love
get
it.
through when you think you have nothing.
Look, and really, the praxis is like a zombie apocalypse. So hey,
Yeah.
if you
We showed you the obstacle course. We got through it. Look at us.
we're
okay?
still alive. Too. How
Yes.
about that?
All right. So I think our show is coming to an end. 184 days teaching truths.
Yes.
Thank you for joining us. We'll be back again in a couple weeks. Another juicy topic, so you don't want to miss.
You don't.
Tell your friends to watch this. They can watch it on Facebook, WWDBTV, our YouTube channel.
How about Roku? Did you finally
Oh,
get that done?
I got my homework done. Yeah, we're on
Got your
Roku now.
homework
I
done?
did my bio.
Now I have to do mine.
Yeah, there we go.
There it
Yeah,
is.
it's a little sassy, so you're gonna want to read it. Okay.
That's right. Because if she doesn't ooze sass in every other way, read that. You'll
Yeah.
get the
Yeah.
you get the gist of Carrie there.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you for joining 184 Days Teaching Truths. I'm Christy. This is Mimi.
I'm Carrie.
And school is out.
Boom.
Glorious, glorious.